The fact that your party did so well in the European elections, and so did Giorgia Meloni's party, and so did AfD. I mean, you know, AfD, as you know, a little bit like the former National Front, is very scary. The fact that the far right is becoming a very, very powerful force in Europe, and who knows, maybe now, with all that's going on in the United States, Donald Trump might win a second term. How do you see Europe changing?
Madame, first of all, I strongly dispute the term far right, which in your country refers to small groups that are extremely radical and violent. If you like, the equivalent...
You don't think you're far right?
The equivalent of what we are in the United States is between the centre-right and the centre-left with regards to ideas. So I think this...
You're kidding me, right?
Yes. Yes, I'm telling you very honestly. I think this use of the term far right carries a stigma and is very pejorative. It does not correspond to what we are, and not at all to what the far right is in the United States.
Do you admire Kylian Mbappé, the hero of French soccer?
I'm not much of a football enthusiast, I'll be frank.
But as a national hero?
I believe that Mr. Mbappé is a very good footballer, but this tendency for actors, footballers and singers to come forward and tell French people how they should vote, and particularly to people who earn 13 or 1,400 euros a month, whilst they are millionaires or even billionaires who live abroad, it's starting to not be well received in our country. French people are fed up of being lectured and advised on how to vote. This election is an election of emancipation in which the French people want to take back control of their destiny and vote as they see fit.
You jumped in because you knew what I was going to ask you, so I need to explain. What he said was, I don't want to represent a country that doesn't correspond to my values, our values. People say don't mix football and politics, but this is really important, much more important than football. The situation is dire and we need to act. He didn't tell people how to vote, he just said you don't represent the kind of country that he would want to play for.
Yes, well, we know exactly why he did it and what the purpose of his statement was. But then again, these are people who are lucky enough to be living comfortably, very comfortably, to be protected from insecurity, poverty, unemployment, and everything else that affects and hurts our compatriots. I think that at a time when the population is preparing to vote, they should show a bit of restraint. Let me give you an example. A left-wing mayor came to see me and said, I've never voted for the National Rally, but I can't stand hearing any more lectures from people who know nothing about how the French are suffering. So this time, I'm going to vote for you.
I need to get back to understand this concept that you have of national preference. It is said, and you and Mr. Bardella said it even to the FT, that, you know, in order to have France for the French, housing, certain jobs, certain social assistance would be a matter of origin, you know, would go to, as you said, you know, French people. How does that work, and is that even constitutional? Can you make a difference between the assistance, the public assistance that you give to French-born versus those who are immigrants, who also pay taxes and who pay social security, etc.?
So first of all, it's not national preference, it's national priority. So it is exercised in a number of areas. Firstly, in social housing, for example. In other words, the idea is very simple. We're going to house people in social housing that has been paid for by the French, their parents, their grandparents, over the generations. We're going to give priority to those who have French nationality, whatever their origins are. It's about French nationals. And when French people who apply for it and meet the criteria have obtained it, the remaining social housing units can be allocated to foreigners. For the rest, if you like, the principle is clear. When it comes to contributive benefits, i.e. those that foreigners pay contributions towards, we won't touch them. It's a topic we've already tackled, since during the 2022 campaign, we specifically said we wanted to be able to change, generally, the constitution to allow French citizens to be granted extra rights attached to their nationality, to those granted to foreigners. The French already have a right that foreigners do not. It's the right to vote. It's not about origin or anything else. It's just a question of nationality, of belonging to a country and citizenship. Why? Because foreigners who are present in our country and that we respect, and who are perfectly able to stay here if they work, if they respect the laws, etc., the fact remains that they are in France and have another country, but the French only have one.